Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about what really interested you in the character of Gunther in the film and how you became attached to the star and play the role.
I heard about this from Nick Cassavetes about 10 years ago. He's one of my closest friends, and he said, I got this crazy movie we're gonna make called God is a Bullet, and I have a part for you. And I said, great. And I think so highly of Nick and his artistic sensibility and his ironclad integrity that anything he ever asked me to do, I'm gonna do. So I said yes before I knew anything about it. And then it took a while to get made. It's not the lightest of movie fare. It's kind of a heavy thing, and sometimes that kind of heaviness and will require a little extra effort put into finding financing and stuff. But we got it made, and I read the script, and I was like, oh wow, this is hardcore. Um, and the thing that interested me at that point was in in everything I've done, and especially in the kind of bad guys I've played, I wanted to put some humanity into them. I think that if we're, as actors, trying to create a real character, that most people, even if they have a different set of morals and values than we do, are thinking of themselves as being on the side of rightness and morality. Um, and the thing that was interesting about Gutter is I thought he needed all of his humanity stripped from him, and that would be an interesting challenge to try to take on.
Also, speaking about getting to reunite with Nick for the film and him co-writing and directing the film, what was your collaboration like in reuniting for this film and really developing your character overall?
It was a lot of conversations before long before we even started shooting about how the whole gang kind of got together and what the hierarchy was and what childhood for this guy was. And so there was like a whole backstory that I think everybody had for themselves, that maybe plays no part at all in the story or in this movie, but that we had that as a foundation to build upon.
And besides speaking with Nick and reading the script, what kind of research and preparation did you maybe do on your own and really understanding the character and really preparing in that sense as well?
Honestly, I would just listen to like some heavy music and think about tattoos. I didn't really want to go down the road of getting too deep into studying Satanism. Even though I think there's a kind of a comedic group of people that are Satanists, that are not hell bent on evil. I think this version of Satanism is like very much about destruction, and I felt that I could pull that off without. I also felt that Gutter wasn't necessarily philosophically inclined. He was just kind of like a bad person, a sociopath. And so it wasn't too much of a struggle for me to at least create the facade of that.
And besides like the emotional and mental mentality of the character, what was it like also creating the physicality and stuff in terms of maybe the stunt work and really creating the physicality for him as well?
Honestly, the hardest thing for me to do was a bit of stunt work with the little girl Chloe Guy, who played the girl that we kidnapped. Um, because right in the beginning, it might have been the first day of shooting, I had to be physically violent with her, and Nick said to me like, "We can see that you're taking it easy on her," and I was like, "Well, she's a little girl, and I'm a huge man, and of course I've got to take it easy." And he said, yes, I don't want you to hurt her, but we have to believe that we can't believe that you're taking it easy on her. And so that was truly the hardest thing. We did that so many times, because I was terrified to hurt her. So that was tough. She's not a stunt person, and she was at the time a 14-year-old girl, but I think she would tell me very sternly that she's tough and I can't hurt her, and then I would take it easy on her and get yelled at by everyone like, gotta be harder, you gotta be tougher. That was really hard to do.
And also, in terms of like the tattoos and the costumes, what was that experience like in creating that side of Butter throughout the filming?
Most of the tattoos I wore, like the big pieces that were on my torso, were chosen for me. But Nick said, if you don't like anything, you can do whatever you want. But here was, and he gave me what he was thinking about, and I loved his ideas so much. So then there were a few things that I picked, but man, having the tattoos put on every day took hours and hours and hours. And you would stand with your arms up. You would be standing for a couple hours with your arms resting on metal poles, while a team of people applied them to you, and you kind of felt like a car moving down an assembly line almost. That was really hard. But there was something about getting made up like that where once it's all on, I've kind of felt bad. So it was nice, putting Gutter's skin on made playing Gutter quite a bit easier.
While you were filming the movie, what was it like also getting to work with the rest of the cast and building the relationships between the characters as well?
I had worked with Brendan Sexton in the mid 90s. We did a movie together called Desert Blue. So I was very, very excited to get to work with him again. And I was super excited to work with Jonathan Tucker. I'd never met him, but I really liked his work in Sneakers. And then I was a huge fan of the show Kingdom. And we've become good friends. And Carl Glussman was awesome to work with. Everybody was fantastic. And we would go to work and be these kind of evil people, and then we would all get our tattoos removed and go have dinner together and make jokes about funny things because we were kind of decompressing.
Yeah. And also, what was it like getting to film the movie on location and in general as an actor, do you prefer like being on location as opposed to maybe doing studio work? What was that experience like as well for you?
The I think when I was younger I preferred location, but now being a husband and a father, I prefer being closer to home. But I do think that there were some shots and sequences in the movie that would not have looked good if we had shot them in Los Angeles. And so I think that it was important to be away and to get the kind of locations that we had.
Yeah, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
Karen, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks again.
Okay.